Welcome to the special meeting of the Massillon City Council for Tuesday, June 21st, 2022, originally scheduled for Monday, June 20, 2022. We have in attendance with us the following city officials.
Safety Service Director Barb Sylvester.
Present.
Law Director Justin Richard.
Present.
Assistant Law Director Edmund Mack.
Present.
Economic Development Director David Haley.
Present.
Code Enforcement Officer Jimmy Johnson.
Present.
Is there anyone from administration that I missed? That's it, Madam President.
Thank you and welcome. Before we move into roll call and at the end of the meeting, I'd like to take just a moment to offer Jill and her family condolences on the loss of her mother. Roll call.
Kramer. Gregg.
Here.
Harwick Smith.
Present.
Ern Kane.
Here.
Lewis.
Present.
Lombardi.
Here.
Sloops.
Here.
Sneed.
Here.
And Barrett.
Present.
Roll call of 8 present.
Councilman Lewis.
I think we might make the motion to excuse Councilwoman Crew.
Second by Councilman Kane. Roll call.
Gregg.
Yes.
Harwick Smith.
Yes.
Ern Kane.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Lombardi.
Yes.
Sloops.
Yes.
Sneed.
Yes.
And Barrett.
Yes.
8 yes to excuse Councilwoman Creamer.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Creamer has been excused. Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Madam President. Would you please stand and join me in the Lord's Prayer and pledge allegiance? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, now and forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Gregg. Madam Clerk, the minutes of the previous meeting transcribed and open for public viewing.
Yes, they are.
Are there any additions or corrections to be made?
No, there are not.
And the minutes stand approved as written. I think we have another person from administration.
Yes, we just had Samantha Walters, the Community Development Director.
Thank you.
Come in.
Board number 5 on the agenda, where anyone from the audience can come forward and speak on any topic that does appear on tonight's agenda. If you wish to do so, please state your name, address, and topic you wish to discuss. And please limit your comments to 4 minutes or less. Come up to the mic, please.
Oh.
Up here.
Oh, okay.
My name is Michael Mitchell. I live at 135 Wales Road Northeast, Part 2. And it's my townhouse I lived when I was a kid, 1978, when I went to Massillon City Schools. Except it was a house then. There's 3 apartments there now, but I just wanted to...
Excuse me 1 second. Did you catch his last name?
Mitchell.
Mitchell. Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say, I moved down here from Michigan, and I was a permanent resident there, and I was on our Gratiot Integrated Health and Mental Health Board of Directors for 8 years, I think it was, and I was glad to serve there. And then I was in the Navy. That's when I left Massillon, went overseas in 1982 after I graduated. We're having our 40-year reunion this year in my class, so looking forward to that. But I'm glad I made it back to Massillon, and I just wanted to thank you guys for all you do, and thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Could you sign the paper up here on the desk, Mike? Thank you.
Sure.
Is there anyone else that would like to address council?
Amy.
You go up. Go.
He is hard of hearing, by the way. So,
It's John, my name's John Nolan, I'm the one that moved the garage, and I'm there about the variances, and I don't know how to go about this,
John, could you give us your address, please?
but 1629 Tremont, I live, and this property is on 1637
Thank you.
Tremont, southwest Massillon, all that. So,
may
Absolutely.
we were told to bring, if you don't mind if I speak.
Microphone, please.
Yeah, we were told to bring pictures of the current building and anything that we spent on it and whatever. Can I give that to someone?
Yes, you may.
Do you want me to make copies?
Go ahead, John.
So the reason I moved the barn is when I got into inspecting after I bought this property, I get in there and half of the floor is rotting out on it, about half of it. And it's sitting in a pile of water. The water was coming down to the back side of the garage and running into it. I never given a thought about getting a permit at the time. I just wanted to save the building because I don't have the money to buy a new one. I don't have the money to buy a new building, so I proceeded to move it. And I put it up where it's on level ground and it's solid and I ain't going to pour water anymore. And the other spot I got to level it up yet. I haven't had time for that. I got a guy coming to do that. But basically I just moved the building to try to save it. That's all I can do. You got the paperwork there, and what I spent on putting a new partial floor into it, new 4x4s down through there to hold the floor I put in. And that's basically all I did was try to fix an old building up.
Is there anything else? We'll get the papers distributed.
They part of it.
I said, she'll hand the papers out as soon as she's finished.
One question. May I speak?
Yes, you may.
He's bad at this. I'm sorry. We were told that if, we want to know that if you guys decide against keeping it where it is, that they would be able to be moved back to its original spot where it was. That's probably the plan, I don't know, but if it is, we have an alternative that is close to the original, but not exactly the original, that we would be comfortable moving it back if and when you guys decided it was not acceptable where it is. Would you like to see the alternative plan, or would...
Is this coming, the planning commission voted this down, correct?
Yes.
And they're coming to us for the appeal.
Right.
Councilman Lewis?
I would say, maybe when we get to that point in the agenda, if the council at that time needs more information, we can file.
All right, I just wanted to ask. Anything else you want to say?
Well, when we get to that on the agenda, then we can ask you some questions.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
May I speak later about this? I don't know what you're going to...
Is this something on
Discuss.
the agenda tonight?
It's just about this property.
Go
It's
ahead.
about this garage.
Your name?
My name is Wendy Gator. And I live across the street from this property. 1617 Walnut Road, Southwest. And I just wondered what problems were listed that he can't have it where it's at. Because in that same property, 1637, there was a haunted house put up every year. And that was about a 6-month do it, because for the construction, it was about 3 months that he, worked on it. And there's 3 streets there involved. I don't know how that was ever passed. And this, which I think is a simple thing, the neighbors that it affects, right, right across from me and right across from Mrs. Marcel, have no problem. So I don't understand how a haunted house in a residential area with 3 connecting streets, it was really a safety hazard, I felt. I let it go because it's a nonprofit thing, and I think you raised quite a bit of money for it. So I would just kind of schedule my time to come home late or stay earlier, because a lot of times I couldn't get my driveway. But I didn't make a big deal out of it, because like I say, it was a nonprofit. But how does something like this gets passed when it probably had maybe 5 ordinances against it? 5 violations, I would say. The 3 connecting streets. A lot of times there's a stop sign there. People couldn't see to even move on to 17th Street from Walnut at that point. They parked on both sides of the street, and it was loud. There was a lot of music. There was a lot of, to my knowledge, no one was asked, were they okay with this? It just transpired.
She asked what your name was, she didn't get it, I'm sorry.
Wendy,
I saw her. Okay. Anything else, Wendy?
No, I just don't understand why, one person's denied over such a, seems like a very minor thing to me, as opposed to something like that, that really should have been in a rural or a non-congested, that was right across from the store as well. I just don't understand it.
Well, unfortunately, this is not a question and answer, so.
Right, I understand.
Okay.
But I would kind of like to get a list, if there's a list of uses or whatever. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Would you sign the paper too, Wendy?
Okay.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move into new and miscellaneous business. Anyone have anything? I think someone else came in. Did someone else come in from administration?
Yes, Stephanie Myers, Chief Deputy Officer.
Thank you. Just for the records, everything. Okay, introduction of ordinance and resolutions. Ordinance number 88, 2022.
An ordinance approving an application for assistance under Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended, including the Consolidated Plan and Annual Action Plan, authorizing the execution and filing of the application and related assurances and certifications, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis will be filling in for Councilwoman Kramer. Councilman Lewis?
Yes, I would ask for Ms. Walters.
Thank you, Ms. Walters.
Are you up against the town country? Can we wait until Councilwoman comes back?
You can definitely.
Thank you. First reading.
Thank you. Ordinance number 88, 2022 has received first reading. Ordinance number 89, 2022.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation on behalf of the Massillon Recreation Board in the city of Massillon, Ohio, to accept a donation from an anonymous donor and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Harlan Smith.
Yes, this is a donation in the amount of $3,000 to the City of Massillon Parks and Recreation Department that shall be placed into a miscellaneous revenue account that's going to be used for youth memberships at the Massillon Recreation Center. Did anybody have any questions on this? Okay, if there's no questions, I'd like to waive the 3 readings and bring this to vote tonight so they could implement and get this money out to the community.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Kern King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sloops,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Kern King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Harvick Smith.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 89, 2022 has passed. Ordinance number 90, 2022.
An ordinance amending section 961.13, liquor, drugs prohibited, of the codified ordinances of the city of Massillon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Gregg?
Thank you, Madam President. We discussed this in our last meeting. Mr. Pedro was present to answer questions, which he did. This deals with the ability to have liquor and beer on the Duncan Plaza property for special events as approved by the Parks and Recreation Board. They'd like to move this forward because of the upcoming island party for the Massillon Museum. I know we did discuss a little bit. Are there any further questions or comments, concerns? Mr. Ferry.
Thank you, Mr. Rick. I had one. I talked with Mr. Pedro this afternoon or this morning and advised me about this, but in the language here it says held at Duncan Plaza. So is it limited to only, that's the only place they're allowed, no other parks? But I thought some of our pavilions, you could do that. So I was kind of curious.
Councilman Gregg?
This ordinance applies strictly to Duncan Plaza. It even excludes Veterans Park, so that's not covered as well. But no, it does not apply to pavilions, and my understanding from Mr. Pedro is they do not approve those requests.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Gregg?
All right, given that, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings and move ordinance number 90, 2022 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Hernkeen. Roll call for suspension.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
and Hernkeen.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Hernkeen,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 90, 2022 is passed. Ordinance number 91, 2022.
An ordinance enacting Rule 25.2 of the Rules of Massillon City Council as codified in Section 121.02 Rules of Council of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Massillon, Ohio.
Councilman Gregg?
First reading.
Thank you. Ordinance number 91, 2022 has received first reading. Ordinance number 92, 2022.
An ordinance making certain appropriations from the unappropriated balance of the 2202 Insurance Fund for the year ending December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes, this is an appropriation of $30,000 into employee insurance to cover the cost of legal COBRA. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I make a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bring ordinance number 92-2022 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call for suspension.
Sluse,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Hernkeen,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Lombardi.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Hernkeen,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
and Sluse.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 92, 2022 is passed. Ordinance number 93, 2022.
An ordinance making certain appropriations from the unappropriated balance of the 1235 Community Health Services Fund for the year ending December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes, this is an appropriation of $22,548.61 to service and contracts. Are there any questions or discussion this evening? Seeing none, make a motion to suspend the rules requiring three readings, reading ordinance number 93-2022, forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvey Smith,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
and Snead.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvey Smith,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Snead,
Yes.
and Barrett.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 93, 2022 is passed. Ordinance number 94, 2022.
An ordinance making certain appropriations from the unappropriated balance of 1100 general fund for the Castle West Improvement and St. Andrews Improvement projects for the year ending December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
The following three are adjustments that we had to make due to the bid process and the cost of goods in order to complete road projects. So I'll start with ordinance number 94. This is for Castle West underdrain and St. Andrews drainage for a total of $130,000 in appropriations. Are there any questions or discussion this evening? Seeing none, make a motion to suspend the rules, requiring three readings, reading ordinance number 94-2022, forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call for suspension.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Snead,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Snead,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Harvick Smith.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 94, 2022 is passed. Ordinance number 95, 2022.
An ordinance making certain appropriations from the unappropriated balance of 1100 general fund for street resurfacing for the year ending December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes, this appropriation of $350,000 in additional funding for the street resurfacing throughout the city. Any questions or discussion this evening? Seeing none, make a motion to suspend the rules, requiring three readings, reading ordinance number 95-2022, forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Snead,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
and Kern Kane.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Snead,
No.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 95, 2022 has passed. Ordinance number 96, 2022.
An ordinance making certain appropriation from the unappropriated balance of the 1206 municipal motor vehicle tax fund for the year ending December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes, this is $30,500 for the Hills and Dales Road Rehab Project. Any questions or discussion this evening? Seeing none, make a motion to suspend the rules, requiring three readings, reading ordinance number 96-2022, forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call for suspension.
Slutes,
Yes.
Snead,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Lombardi.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Snead,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvick Smith,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
and Slutes.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 96, 2022 is passed. Ordinance number 97, 2022.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and director of public Service and Safety of the City of Massillon, Ohio, to accept and enter into a collective bargaining agreement between the employees of the wastewater treatment department in the City of Massillon, Ohio, effective April 1st, 2021 through March 31st, 2024, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
As it says, this is the contract for the wastewater treatment plant employees. Are there any questions or discussion this evening? Seeing none, I make a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, reading ordinance number 97-2022, forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
and Snead.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Gregg,
Yes.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Snead,
Yes.
and Barrett.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 97, 2022 has passed. 98, 2022.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and the director of public service and safety of the city of Massillon, Ohio, to accept and enter into a collective bargaining agreement between AFSCME, Ohio Council 8, Local 996, AFL-CIO, and the city of Massillon, Ohio, effective April 1st, 2021 through March 31st, 2024.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes, it's the contract agreement with AFSCME employees, the employees that are covered by that union representation. Are there any questions or discussion this evening?
Councilman Garrett.
Thank you, Madam President. Just one, why is this a year late? I mean, I know negotiations often go over, but this is a little over a year past the limit date. I'm just curious if there were some issues, or is that not for discussions?
Councilman Lewis.
I would have to ask the safety service director if she's able to respond.
Ms. Sylvester.
Good evening. I can respond that that is how long it took for the negotiations. Any other information is privileged that we discussed in executive session.
Just curious. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Lewis.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we read the rules requiring 3 readings, reading ordinance number 98-2022, forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call for suspension.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Snead,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slutes,
Yes.
Snead,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Harwood Smith.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 98, 2022 is passed. Resolution number 9, 2022. Again, Mr. Kramer, or Mr. Lewis is filling in for Councilman Kramer.
A resolution reversing the decision of the Massillon Board of Zoning Appeals in the variance request case number 2022-5 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes, as we went over last week at the work session, quite lengthy, and we heard a little bit tonight. We did see some photographs of the current status. We also see the cost involved. We've heard the reasoning behind the relocation of the outbuilding, and now it's up to us to make a decision as to how we would decide to rule. Essentially, what it comes down to is this particular building is a violation because you're not allowed to have such buildings in the front yard. Obviously, this property is at a disadvantage of all 3 of its yards are considered or could be considered street, running on all three sides. The code enforcement officer did go out there and were willing to offer some variances if it was back close to the property or the home where it originally came from, and they stated they would allow for an appropriate amount of time to take place so they could make drainage repairs and things of that nature, as was brought up tonight. So it is open for discussion and questions if anyone has any this evening.
Councilman Gregg?
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Bowen mentioned when he was speaking earlier about another possibility of a way to satisfy the request of the zoning department. I was wondering if Mr. Bowen could approach and tell us if you've discussed that with the zoning department. Have you had any discussions regarding?
No.
No,
So you're not aware?
No,
The zoning department's not aware of this new proposal?
no.
not this new, no.
Okay, thank you. My inclination would be to see if the zoning department could work with Mr. Boland and with this new proposal, this new idea, and see if they can work out this situation.
Councilman Lombardi?
Thank you, President. I agree with Mr. Gregg. I believe that we should probably let Mr. Johnson see the alternatives, and then both parties maybe come back to council and bring those alternatives to us, and whatever agreement they can come up with.
Councilman Barrett?
Thank you, Madam President. I could agree with that as a viable alternative. But I have a couple of questions. The building now sits on an old city lot, if I'm not mistaken, is how. And I've been through this before, and I don't know what the dimensions of the lot are, but some of these lots were cut apart or whatever, established before the modern codes, and there were grandfathers or whatever, if you would, that would allow building variances, footprints for one thing, because I came across that. I had a lot before. It was so small, even to put a small shed on it would be beyond the footprints. But I came to understand that because the lots were the way they were when they were carved out, if you would, that did not apply because it wasn't a full-size city lot. So if that be the case here, what authority do we have to dictate that they put put a building someplace that, other than where they put it? And like you said, if it's, no matter where they put it, it's going to be wrong, then you can't punish them for that the way they established, the way they put the lot down originally. So I would have serious questions about them challenging this.
Councilman Lewis?
Just to pick up over Mr. Terry's packet that we just got tonight, if you go to that last page, that is prior to the move.
Yeah.
So if you look, you can see a barn-like structure at the top. That is where it was prior to the move. He rotated it 90 degrees and made the long side of the building run along the sidewalk along one of there. So he moved it forward close to the street and rotated it 90 degrees.
Where are we? Walnut? So that's normal. Oh.
So I would have to also inquire of the law director, because I do have a question regarding that. I'll tell you personally, one of the things I'm debating is, from my understanding, Mr. Bowman owns this piece of property and the piece of property that is just east off of the image that we have tonight. Is that correct? And the building's entrance that he moved is actually now on the property line and facing the property just east. Doesn't even service the property in which it sits. It services the property to the east of it, which causes me a little bit of concern because they are not parceled together. It's not like two parcels that are sold as one lot. They are two separate lots within the city as well. That would be like taking your garage, making the garage door open to your neighbor's property, and you have to access your neighbor's yard in order to enter your own garage, which I consider a potential issue. But either code enforcement or the law director, whoever can answer this, don't we have to have a response tonight in order for the appeals process?
It's 60 days. 60 days. So, from what I can see.
Could someone come to the mic, please?
Code says 60 days after it is received by council clerk.
So we could give a briefing tonight then. But my thought is also, and this, I'm just kind of trying to talk through this a little bit, with the revised proposal potential from the resident owner, we don't really necessarily amend these things. We either say yes or no, and even a revised proposal would be a no from us. So the only reason we vote yes is if we're saying leave it where it is. Now, if we're interested in hearing a revised proposal because we think it needs to be moved, we still have to vote this down as a no, either way.
I would agree with that comment, Mr. Lewis, and I would recommend you vote it down. We will take serious consideration into our revised proposal for that. We made the revised proposal at zoning to put it back to its original location after drainage was fixed and grant the variances needed for that. Now, if they have a new plan that I heard you say that is close to the original location,
It's close.
we will heavily consider that, and I will make sure that it gets the review that it needs in the fastest possible manner.
Madam President, can we get a little bit of at liberty and ask the owner how quickly they can get that proposal to code enforcement?
Certainly.
How quickly can you get that proposal to code enforcement?
We would just have to go down, we just have to submit it to them, right?
Well,
Yeah, we could do that tomorrow. No, he's got to submit it officially.
You could come to the microphone, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. As soon as we could, if we, normal business days, like tomorrow, we take it down to the building enforcement office and give it to them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards maybe just giving this a reading, not because we're necessarily going to vote yes, because we know that even with the alternative proposal, we have to vote no, but just make sure this stays in front of council and we can assure that we stay part of the conversation. So, my thoughts.
So if you give it a reading,
It comes up in 2 weeks.
and then they could make an amendment at that point?
There would be no amendment, I just give it a reading that just assures us that council does not fail to follow up and make sure things are moving along in some kind of fashion. I believe it's always been that question.
Councilman Howard Smith?
Yes, I drive by this property every day, and I will say that Mr. Boland has been working very hard to make the property nice. And I've gone to the property and looked at it up close. And the building was literally sinking into a giant hole. I mean, so it will be hard to fill. Even if he moves it, I think we should allow him, if he has to turn it, because that was the only thing that I objected to because of the thing. But as long as he's far enough from the sidewalk, I think we should give him a variance to allow him to keep it there. And the reason being is, I know the zoning law is basically he has 3 front yards. His address is the front yard. I mean, it still looks like, it's kind of like it was an old garage. People in the neighborhood used to go there and get candy. I mean, it has a lot of history to tell. People in the neighborhood live there. And people that I've talked to have no problem with the building. If it had to be turned, I can see that, but I don't think we should make him put it all the way to the original spot, maybe just back farther if you consider that, just because of the way the ditch and the drainage. But I can see he worked really hard, and he's put a lot of money into it and to make it all look very nice, and he's still been working on it. And so I think we should just consider that. The building is, it's an odd thing, I mean, who has 3 front yards, right? And the first two houses, which is the other house he lives in, is kind of the same way. After you get to that, you know, the point goes out, and then it's backyard to backyard, and everybody has front yards. But that historic corner, it's just the way it is. So I hope council would consider that. I mean, even
Anyone else? Councilman Lombardi?
Thank you, President Eisner. I just have a question that Mrs. Hardwick Smith may be able to answer. Is this the property that used to be occupied by Chad Heck? Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Councilman Lewis?
First reading.
Thank you. Ordinance resolution number 9, 2022 has received first reading. Is there any unfinished business?
No, there is none.
Are there any petitions and general communications?
No, there are not.
Are there bills of council claims?
No, there are not.
Are there reports of city officials?
Yes, I emailed the auditor's report for May of 2022 to all council members.
Councilman Lewis?
Make a motion that we accept the auditor's report.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension.
Suspension's not.
Thank you. I was on a roll. I was on a roll. A roll call.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
and Carmen.
Yes.
8 yes to accept the auditor's report.
Thank you. The auditor's report has been accepted. Reports of committees. Our next work session will be Monday, the 27th, 2022 at 6:30 here in council chambers. Any resolutions and requests of council members? Councilman Eric Kane.
Thank you, Madam President. I will not be in attendance next week for work session.
Anyone else? Okay, call the calendar. Ordinance number 73, 2022.
An ordinance granting the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio, a one-time salary increase to $90,000 per year, effective January 1st, 2024, and granting the auditor of the city of Massillon, Ohio, a one-time salary increase to $77,000 per year, effective January 1st, 2024.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes, I'll hand this over to Mr. Lombardi for further discussion.
Councilman Lombardi?
Thank you, President Eisner. Mr. Lewis, I would like the council to consider an amendment to this ordinance. I would like to amend the mayor's salary from $90,000 per year to $84,000 per year, and the auditor's salary from $77,000 per year to $71,000 per year, beginning with the term January 1, 2024, and then with the term January 1, 2028, we take the mayor's salary to $90,000 per year and the auditor's salary to $77,000 per year. And at that point, we let the cost of living increase take effect from there forward.
Councilman Lewis?
I second.
Any further discussion? Councilman Sneed?
Mr. Lombardi, thank you for the compromise. I appreciate that. I know we've had odds on this, and I just want to take a second to say I appreciate all your work and everything you've done on this, and clarity as well. That's all. Just want to thank both of you for this.
Anyone else? Councilman Barrett?
Well, I appreciate those kind words. I am looking forward to some progress on this. I think it's so long overdue that I don't think that even the 90,000 was a compromise from our original trying to get the make a more attractive salary position for our city. I think that mayor of a city like ours deserves that kind of thing. Other cities around us are making that more for smaller cities. I hope that we'll catch up soon. I do appreciate
salary schedule as stated by Mr. Lombardi.
Excuse me, I don't have a prepared amended
Okay.
I
ordinance.
thought I had you as a second.
You did.
Okay.
So you said my name, so I thought maybe you needed to amend, that maybe you didn't properly
Well,
make a
this is
motion.
this is under your name, so this should be under Mr. Lombardi's name?
Mr. Lombardi, I believe, unless I misheard him, made the motion to amend.
Yes.
In which I was second.
Okay,
Okay. That's what we get a roll call for that amendment.
okay. Roll call on the amendment.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slivers,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Harvard Smith,
Yes.
Kern King,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
8 yes to amend ordinance 73 to reflect Mr. Lombardi's amendment.
Now, we're back.
Ordinance number 73, 2022 has been amended. Councilman Lewis.
All right. So this will take it back to first reading. I don't know if does council want to proceed on a vote tonight, or do we want further debate? With that said, I would like to make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring three readings, bringing ordinance number 73-2022 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call for suspension.
Slivers,
No.
Sneed,
Respectfully, no.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
No.
Harvard Smith,
Yes.
Kern King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Lombardi.
Yes.
4 yes, 3 no for passage.
5 yes, 3 no.
Suspension.
Suspension.
5 yes, 3 no, Diane.
Yeah, so that does not suspend, that leaves it at first reading. Actually, we'll take the second reading next in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Ordinance number 73, 2022 has received first reading. Third reading ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 79, 2022.
On the amendment, there was 7 yes and 1 no.
No, 5 yes, 3 no's.
No, I mean on the amendment.
On the amendment, there was 8.
Everybody agreed on that.
Everybody agreed to amend it?
Yes.
And then on the
Suspension.
5 to 3.
suspension, there was 5 to 3.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
7 to 9. An ordinance authorizing the mayor and/or the director of public service and safety of the city of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into a commercial real estate purchase agreement with Campbell Oil Company for the purpose of purchase of parcel number 614431 and 601521, further known as 611 Erie Street South, Massillon, Ohio 44646, further authorizing the mayor and/or the director of public service and safety of the city of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into an escrow agreement with Alpha Land Title Agency Incorporated and to take all other actions necessary to facilitate said purchase, also authorizing the relocation of the Massillon City Health Department and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes, I believe there is an amendment that is going to be needed. I will call the law for department. Over.
Two more.
Where do we stop at?
Market there.
Sorry, Edmund.
I don't mind. I'm good. I love talking contracts. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Good? Am I good? Perfect. Okay, sorry, I'm obviously still kind of learning the ropes here. And kind of as a segue, one of the things I'm still obviously learning is, interacting with council. And I believe this because I know this to be true. You can't do anything significant in a city without council support and without council being on board. Because any type of deal like this requires you guys to not only understand what's going on, but then ultimately sign off on it. So after our last meeting where we talked about this, I think the day after, maybe the following day, we actually received an email, or I received an email from the seller's attorney, the Campbell attorney, asking me if we would still be interested to sell the article. The direction from Director Richard through Director Maley was, yes, see if you can get the same thing in place, and we don't know when the appropriate time would be to have it for a vote, and see if it's still there. So I turned around and revised agreement that day, even sent it over to him, and we didn't hear anything from them really until Friday, Thursday or Friday. And the changes to the agreement are really just the dates. The dates are now, you'll see, if you look into the commission's page, just have this done by July 1. There's several other approvals that we have to have in the health board, the auditor, but nothing that will take more than a day or two. And yesterday, while it was holiday, they were working, we received their signature page. So we have a done deal. Should this body be so inclined to approve it? Terms are exactly the same, except the approval dates. And so if this body were to approve it, the next thing that would happen would be the mayor and the safety service director would sign it. We would be in front of the health board in the coming days again, just to approve it once more. And then we should be away and running, starting our due diligence. But questions can be answered. And thank you guys for your patience, man. Guys and guys.
Councilor Lewis?
I don't have any questions, but once the body's done, with the person who may have to turn back, and do have an amendment here to make, they'll take the new exhibits and place them in this ordinance. It would place this back to first reading, which would mean we would then have to suspend the rules if we wanted to move forward.
Anyone? Questions, concerns? Councilwoman Howard Smith?
So when will we take ownership? As the first of the year?
Yes, yes. I mean, thereabouts, right? We have been there, so we're going to work together if there are any issues, but we have plenty of time.
As far as getting into it, it's the first of the year, we won't get ownership until the first of the year, or ownership immediately, the current people will pay rent to the city.
So
Current rent.
when we take ownership,
it'll be the first of the year, right? It will then not have any tenant in the building at that time. So we will be able to start whatever we want to do. Tenant, their lease is up December 31. We don't want to be a landlord for a lot of different reasons. That's complicated. But it just lines up. Like there was no early termination or anything like that. It's just in their tenancy code.
I'd just like to say, I think this is a really nice building, and as a nurse, this is going to be a nice place for our health department. And we're getting it, based on the value, it was almost $100,000. So other than the cost of maintaining, we're getting an asset to the city that we're able to pay with funds, and then we just have to maintain. So this is very positive, and I think, Mayor, and thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah, and it's certainly Director Manning, Director Sylvester. I mean, they just gave it to me to put the deal together. I mean, they did all the hard work, so credit to them.
Anyone else? Councilman Darren?
I just want to also say thank you so much for all the work you've all put in there. I know you were nail biting for a while, and I appreciate your perseverance because I believe this is going to be, like you said, a tremendous asset to the city. And we were very fortunate that we were still able to even make another competitive bid on it against that. So equity already involved. So again, thank you guys so very much. You did a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, and Director Richard, he's the one who gives me that directive. And one thing he wanted me to make sure I said, because the truth is, the point you made, that the deal's still there. The Campbell family, Campbell Lloyd, they wanted us to have this building. They are Massillon through and through. When they relocated, they kept it in the city. I don't know them, but I'm learning about them. They seem like great people.
Anyone else? Councilman Snead?
Thank you, President Mason. Again, thanks for your work. I am glad that we did give people a chance to speak up, because I did receive one question as to this. And maybe a pro tem can help me out, I'm not sure. But the first, I'm just going to read her comment. Her first concern or thought was, where's the nearest Startup bus stop? She knows the health department provides services for many families who do not have the luxury of owning a vehicle. They're relying on Startup for transportation to receive services at the health department. I believe there is a bus stop near there, but we're not sure. So can we figure out exactly where that bus stop is? And the further example she gives is, for the Massillon Middle School, Startup was not able to get a bus stop near the middle school, so they have to walk from Lincoln Way all the way to middle school. She doesn't want to see the same thing happen. So we're just curious where the bus stop's at, if Mr. Lewis knows or yourself.
I heard the mayor say to another person, hearsay, right? I don't know where the bus stop is. I know it's important that it's on the line, like you just said. And I heard the mayor say that there's a bus stop right by there, meaning like, this is an important thing, a good thing. So to the extent that helps answer the question, I know it's involved.
Councilman Lewis?
There's one currently on the corner of Walnut and Erie, which is probably about a block, maybe two at the most. Okay. I will relay that information. Thank you very much. Appreciate both of you.
Anyone else? Councilman Gregg?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to echo comments made earlier, thanking yourself and administration for working on this. I'm glad to see that we didn't, that the conditions stayed the same, everything stayed the same except the dates. We didn't cost ourselves any money by delaying. It's just, I think it's an extremely good deal for the city, and I'm wholeheartedly behind it.
Councilman Lewis?
I move to amend ordinance number 79-2022 by replacing the previous exhibits A and B, and with the replacement pieces that were provided to us this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilman Gray, seconds. Roll call on the amendment. Is there any discussion on the amendment? We're good. Roll call on the amendment.
Snead?
Yes.
Barrett?
Yes.
Gregg?
Yes.
Howard Smith?
Yes.
Kern Kane?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Lombardi?
Yes. Yes.
and Sluse.
Yes.
8 yes on to amend ordinance number 79, reflect the new Exhibit A, amended Exhibit A and amended Exhibit B.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Lewis.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules requiring three readings, bring ordinance number 79-2022 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Gregg. Roll call for suspension.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Herb King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Sneed.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Gregg,
Yes.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Herb King,
No.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
and Sneed.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 79-2022 has passed. Second reading ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 83-2022.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with Tom Green to provide an economic development inducement grant to fund startup costs, including build-out equipment, etc., for Discount Tire Outlet located at 2034 Southway Street Southwest, Massillon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes. Is there anyone that has any more questions or discussion on this?
And I'm sorry, that should be Councilman Hurricane.
How's it rolling?
I'm sorry.
He was rolling with it. Councilman Hurricane.
Thank you, Madam President. It is my understanding that we need to amend this to reflect the correct name of the applicant as Tom Davis and not Tom Green. Is that correct?
Correct.
Then I make a motion that we amend ordinance number 83-2022 to reflect the owner of Discount Tire Outlet located at 2034 Southway Street Southwest to be Tom Davis and not Tom Green, I state.
Second by Councilman Barrett. Roll call on the amendment.
Gregg,
Yes.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Herb King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
and Barrett.
Yes.
8 yes to amend ordinance number 83 to reflect the correction of the name from Tom Green to Tom Davis as the owner of Discount Tire Outlet.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 83 has been amended. Councilman Hurricane.
Thank you, Madam President. Are there any questions or comments on this matter from members of council?
Councilman Howard Smith.
Yes, we haven't heard anything from Tom Davis. Do you know exactly what he plans to do with the $10,000? He was here?
Yeah, he was here
Oh, he was
last week.
coffee.
Last week, correct. Yeah, what he's adding is a diner, a barber shop, and a general store at that location, which would create the equivalent of 20 jobs and proceeds going to local nonprofits.
Thank you for clarifying.
Seeing no questions, I make a motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 separate readings and bringing ordinance number 83-2022 forward for a vote.
Second by Councilman Barrett. Roll call for suspension.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Herb King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
and Gregg.
Yes.
8 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Herb King,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
Sneed,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Howard Smith.
Yes.
8 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 83-2022 is passed. Order number 17 on the agenda, or anyone from the audience can come forward and speak on any matter that was not on the agenda tonight. Please state your name, address, and topic to be discussed.
My name is Michael Mitchell, and I live at 135 Wales Road, and that's right 2 houses up from Lincoln Way. And I just got a question about flags. Is there an ordinance that says because I don't know anything about it. My landlord didn't say nothing about it, but we can put flags on our house there, right in front, because it's a state route. And I see other people, you know, having flags, because I wanted to put our Massillon Tiger flag up, you know, U.S. flag, but I didn't know if there's an ordinance against it for that street, or,
On Mills Road?
yeah.
So this isn't a question and answer session, but I have an American flag and a Marine flag, and I live on Mills Road.
Okay, so, because it'd be like right in front where all the traffic is, and that's why I didn't know if he was allowed to do that or not, you know.
If I spoke incorrectly, if someone from the administration could tell him, but I believe that you may.
There's no written ordinance or anything that I can read or nothing about it.
Maybe Mr. Richard could assist in that with me.
Our law director will assist you after the meeting. Thank you. Anything
And
else?
I just want to say one other thing.
Go ahead.
Thank you for letting me speak and to be here as a citizen, and I'll be living here till I die.
All right. Glad to have you here. Oh, it's a long time.
And I always put a word out for Massillon on the YouTube, you know, the people I talk to on YouTube, because I'm not on social media or nothing, but I do a lot of posts on YouTube, and I tell people about Massillon, come and visit. And that's the other issue I've wondered about. Are they going to build any more bigger hotels downtown Massillon? Has that ever been on the agenda, or nobody's put in for it or anything?
Again, maybe someone from the administration can answer that after the meeting. Thank you, Michael. Anyone else? Okay. Councilman Gray,
Thank you, Madam President. I make a motion that we adjourn.
second by Councilman Lombardi, roll call.
Gray,
Yes.
Howard Smith,
Yes.
Fontaine,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Slipes,
Yes.
Snead,
Yes.
and Fair.
Yes.
8 yes to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.